Hi everyone, welcome to the Hoop Club Box 17 tutorial. So this month we are stitching a pin cushion. This is Bargello or Bargello, I'm not sure. I need to look at that, whether you pronounce it Bargello. Anyway, it's this kind of geometric style of needlepoint where you use just kind of like lines to build up the pattern. And so this is quite a classic kind of Bargello design, and we're turning it into a pin cushion because I like to include some projects that are not hoops and are kind of useful, just to mix it up a little bit. So that's what I'm going to show you how to stitch this month. I really love it, and I just think that is such a cute thing to have in your sewing box, and really good for storing needles or embroidery or pins. And we give you the materials to make two, so you can give one away or keep them both. I always find with embroidery related tools, it is always really useful to have multiple. So probably got 10 pairs of scissors lying around the house so that I always have a pair of scissors on hand. So maybe the same goes for pin cushions. Maybe you need more than one. So this is the instruction booklet. So we've got, as usual, a little message from me and your instructions to make the kit and the chart. And we've got a bit about the designer. So this is Joanne from Pippin Knits and Pippin Kits. So that's all about her. So that's this month's project. So I will now show you how we make this. So this is your box this month, and we've got the wadding that goes in the pin cushions. We've got some pins, all the thread, and then your two bits of tapestry canvas and some felt for the backing. Then we've got a little extra, which is this little cute pink tape measure, and then your two different needles, your tapestry needle and your sewing needle, and then the thread to sew, and then your instructions. So we're going to start on one of our pieces of tapestry canvas, and the first thing you want to do is just kind of find the middle. So I'm folding it over just to give me an idea of where the middle is. I mean, you can kind of tell where the middle is, but folding it over diagonally in two directions helps you. So we're doing something slightly different. I've threaded my needle and I've tied a knot in the end, and I'm coming down through the top of the tapestry canvas. So I am just going to then do my first stitch. This is going to be basically trimmed off later, so you won't see this. What you do is trap the thread behind with your stitches to secure the thread, so we won't use any knots that remain on the piece of fabric. We will cut them all off, but to start with you just put it over here somewhere or anywhere, and then we're going to start our stitches. So you're following the guide in the instructions, and you're going over 4 threads. So we're calling the tapestry canvas lines threads. That's not the technical phrase. I am sure someone's got a better one. And we're going over 4 of them. So you always need to be going over 4 lines, and except on the edge where we'll be going over less sometimes, but generally 4 lines. So I am going to do these first 4 stitches, and they're all going over 4 lines. So I've done my first 4 stitches, and now I'm going to turn the fabric over and I'm going to secure my thread by just bringing it through once, and then I'm going to go back through again, just because it's the first set of stitches, there's not much to go through. I'm going to pull it back again. I think I just cancelled that out. I'm going to go back again, and then I will snip off those threads so that they don't get caught into the rest of my work. So I've done the first 4 stitches that relate to those middle stitches there. So I'm going to do the next section and I'll show you that process again. So the process is exactly the same now. I'm going to come in with my knotted thread and keep the knot at the top, and then I'm going to go and start my stitches. So I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Four lines, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you start to build the pattern up, it just becomes obvious where the stitches go. But every now and then you'll need to count. So like with this one, it's just going in on the exact opposite position to that one. So So now that I've finished that next bit of colour, I'm going to finish off the thread at the back like we did before. So you're just pushing it through once, pushing it through again, and maybe to start with do it 3 times, but twice should be enough. But you then snip off the wall, and your threads are just secured by the fact that they're stitched into the mesh, and then the kind of weaving it in the back. So that is how you complete the stitching. So you just carry on following the pattern, seeing how many stitches the pattern expands. So you just need to follow the pattern and just check every time which colour you're using and how many stitches. And what you will end up with is your finished piece like this. So that's the underside, and that's your finished piece. So we're now ready to stitch it into a pin cushion. So we've trimmed around the edges, and now we're going to, with this right side next to the felt, because we will turn it inside out, we're going to pin it together. So using your pins, just secure the sides together so that you can sew around it and it doesn't move. We will trim this excess felt off at a later point. So just pin the pincushion together. And when you've done that, we're going to sew around 3 of the edges. So we're going to leave one edge open so that we can put the stuffing in, and then we're going to stitch all the way around the other edges. I'm going to show you how to do that. So I have finished sewing around the 3 edges, and I'm going to trim around the edges now. So I've already trimmed that one edge, but I'm going to trim so that we've got 1 square of tapestry canvas remaining, but I will leave the 4th edge, the edge that we're going to sew in once we've stuffed it. I'm going to leave that longer so that it gives us a bit of fabric to play with while we're turning that inside now. So trim these edges, and then what you can do is just give these little corners a bit of a snip to make it easier to get a nice sharp edge on the corners. So don't trim it in too much because you'll cut the sewing that you've just done. So I've threaded my needle, the other needle, so this is the sharp one, with some of the embroidery thread that we've included in your kit. So you need to use 2 strands of that, so split your thread. And then what we're going to do is sew around the edges of the pincushion. So as I said, just around 3 edges, and what we're going to do is use the actual squares to stitch around. So I am stitching in that square that has also been stitched in. So I just want to get it really close to the tapestry, tied a knot in the end of my thread, and then I'm going to go down 3 squares at a time, and then go all the way around the edge. So I'm going to use a split back stitch. So I'm going back on myself, so I'm going to go up again so that I'm doubling up the stitch. So I don't move along, I probably move along 2 squares every time because I'm doubling up the stitch so that I make sure it's a really nice, strong, sturdy line of stitching around the outside of the pincushion so that it's not going to, you're not going to get any gaping or holes. So do that around 3 edges, and then we're going to be ready to turn it inside out, turn it the right way around, and now we're going to turn it the right side round again. So just gently start to flip it round, push it through. Now you want to really push out the corners, so use your little finger, or you can always get a pencil and push out those corners so that they're nice and sharp, so that you can see that mustard stitch that you've done on the corner. Yeah, so spend a bit of time getting those corners pushed out, and then we've got our shape all ready to stuff with. So take half of the stuffing that we've given you, because obviously you're going to do 2. It does look quite a lot, but once you actually get it in there, it condenses quite a lot. So get that all pushed in, and try and get it right into the corners. And then we're going to fold over the 2 edges here, and then fold the felt in, because we're then going to pin these 2 together so that we can sew along that edge. So I will pin mine and then show you. So I'm just folding the two bits of fabric together, and then I'm going to pin them. So hold your felt down and try not to stab yourself. And pin those edges together. It's a bit of a silly pin. It's not the ones I've given you. And then this last bit, just get that corner right in. Use your scissors just to push that down if you need to. And then we're going to just do a whip stitch along the edge. So I'm all pinned. I'm going to show you how to do the whips. So at one end you want to hide your knot. So take your same embroidery thread, 2 strands, tie a knot in the end, and then you're kind of hiding your knot in between the two and then sewing them together. So you're just going along the whole of this one side and pulling the 2 pieces together. I'm just going to try and hide the thread of my knot. So this is a whip stitch where you pull the 2 sides of the fabric together. Just keep it right to the edge at the top, keep it as neat as you can. And just go all the way along. And when you get to the end, you just want to tie a little knot, go through like and do a knot with your last stitch. And then just make a discreet little, and maybe go through one more time and make a discreet little knot at the end to secure your stitching, and then just trim that off. And you have your lovely little pin cushion. So you've finished, and you can start using it as a cute pin cushion.